Hi, folks. This is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report, and I have Linda with me right now. And Linda, you said you had something special that you wanted to break the news to me or whatever on one of the radio spots. So you go ahead. I don't have a clue what you're going to talk about.
And you're exactly right. When we had talked about this, I said, I have an idea. I'd like to do this myself. So if it's okay with you, I would just put this together. And so here is how this unfolded. I frequent businesses around the North Country, and there's one bank. I'm not going to give plugs to any particular banking institution, but there's one bank where I go religiously every couple of weeks, and there's a teller, first name only. Her name is Terry. She's a really nice person. She listens to this show, and she was sharing a great story with me that I told her I'll mention this on air with Dawn. So she was saying how in one of your shows you described your favorite lure, and you gave the color, and how pink and white was one of the colors that was really very important and appropriate for particular types of fishing. Well, she didn't happen to have that, but she had remembered a mention of orange. And so she took an orange, she went with her dad and her son, and they went fishing. And she used an orange lure. I can't tell you what kind it was because some of these don't make a lot of sense to me, but essentially they caught she caught a large walleye, and they were trying to get it into their boat, and what happened was the line broke, and so she never actually had a chance to bring that walleye in. But the excitement was that she had used tips that you had provided in your show and was able to replicate something that brought her a measure of success, sort of, in the fishing experience. And so I would just mention to you, Dawn, that people do listen to these shows.
Well, I'll tell you something, that what that brings up is another tip. This is a perfect place to, boy, she's not alone. This has happened to everybody. They get the fish in and they try to pull it out of the water and the line breaks. That goes on all the time. And I guess my biggest tip is if you want to catch a really good fish, you should get some kind of a net and take it along. By being able to, especially somebody that isn't really into fishing all the time. If you're a casual fisherman, you don't really want to stick your hand down and pick it up by the mouth. The fish don't want you doing that anyway. But if you had a net, it can really make a difference. And they aren't all that expensive. However, the tip I could give about this also is the material that makes up the net is extremely important. And ones with rubber netting are much safer for the fish than some of the
like the nylon.
Yeah, some of these other ones. Mm-hmm. Well, that's wonderful to hear, because that's my whole goal, is to try to give out some information that will help somebody else enjoy the experience that I'm trying to describe.
And you never know who's listening, and you never know what they'll take away from these. But thank you, Terry. It was an inspiration when I heard it, and I said I'll be sure to mention it. So
well, this is a wonderful story. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Terry. And until next time, folks, this is Don and Linda with the North Country Fishing Report.